Okay, students, this is chapter number 2, biological molecules. In today's lesson, we have to read about phospholipids, which are kind of or type of lipids. Then we'll see the testing for presence of lipids. We'll see how proteins are formed from amino acids, and then we will see the formation and breakage of peptide bond between the amino acids. Phospholipids are a special type of lipid. Each molecule has the unusual property of having one end which is soluble in water. This is because one of the three fatty acid molecules is replaced by a phosphate group which is polar and can therefore dissolve in water. So you can see here in the structure, phospholipid has such a structure that they have a hydrophilic head. Hydrophilic means that they are water soluble or water loving, or you can say it is a polar head. If you remember from our previous lectures, I told you that polar or dipoles are created when there is unequal distribution of charge. So here in the phospholipid structure, you can say there is a phosphate group which has a partially negative charge on it, creating dipoles. So when this head is becoming polar, so it means part of the structure of phospholipid is water soluble. On the other hand, part of it is not, since it is non-polar fatty acid chains and are hydrophobic in nature. Hydrophobic means water faring. So if you see the whole structure, we can say that the head is water soluble or head is hydrophilic. On the other hand, the phospholipid structure has chains, fatty acid chains, which are non-polar, means they do not have unequal distribution of charges. They are neutral overall and are hydrophobic in nature, that is that they are insoluble in water. This is because of this is something I have explained. Let's see the next point. The phosphate group is hydrophilic or water loving and makes the head of the phospholipid molecule hydrophilic, although the two remaining tails are still hydrophobic. This allows the molecules to form a membrane around a cell where the hydrophilic heads lie in the watery solution on the outside of the membrane, and the hydrophobic tails form a layer that is impermeable to hydrophilic substance. So you will study about the structure of cell membrane in your next chapter. Here you will learn that the cell membrane consists of phospholipid bilayer. Bilayer means two layers. If you can see here in the structure, I have tried to explain you the structure of cell membrane. The cell membrane is a phospholipid bilayer, means it is made up of two layers of phospholipids. And if you can see the arrangement of phospholipids, all the hydrophilic regions or heads are towards the water sides, while the hydrophobic regions or tails are inside. Since hydrophilic regions are water loving or water soluble, so they are outside facing the water, while the hydrophobic regions, which are water faring or water hating, are in between. Here in the structure, again I have tried to explain you the structure of phospholipid. Hydrophilic head, which is attracted to water, and the hydrophobic tails, which are repelled by water. So when these phospholipids arrange themselves to form the structure of cell membrane, you see that they are lining in a way that hydrophilic heads are facing the extracellular and intracellular environment, which is mostly watery or aqueous, while the hydrophobic tails are inside, which are being repelled by water. Testing for presence of lipids. This is something you have done in O levels as well. Lipids are insoluble in water but soluble in ethanol or alcohol. This fact is made to use in the emulsion test for lipids. What we do, that the substance that is thought to contain lipids is shaken vigorously with some absolute ethanol with little or no water in it. This allows any lipids in the substance to dissolve in the ethanol. So what we did is that we took the sample that is supposed or is thought to contain lipids. We made it to get dissolved in ethanol. The ethanol is then poured into a tube containing water. If lipids is present, a cloudy white suspension is formed. You can see cloudy white precipitates being formed. Like here, if you can see in the test tube that the cloudy appearance shows the presence of lipids. If there is no lipid present, the ethanol just mixes into the water. Light can pass straight through this mixture, so it looks completely transparent. So if the sample does not contain lipid, the sample would just simply dissolve in ethanol. Water and ethanol are soluble. The light would pass through the solution, hence would give you the transparent appearance. But if there is lipid dissolved in the ethanol, it cannot remain dissolved when mixed with water. As soon as you will pour water, the lipids will start to form tiny droplets throughout the liquid. This kind of mixture is called an emulsion. This is a common observation that we can do at homes as well. If you take small amount of water and add oil into it and shake it well vigorously, you will see the emulsion being formed, since oil is not soluble or miscible in water. The droplets reflect and scatter light, making the liquid look white and cloudy. Now we have to start the next topic, which is proteins. You know, proteins are extremely important class of macromolecules in living organism. Making about 50% of the dry mass of the most cells is protein. Proteins have many important functions. For instance, they make up enzymes. They are essential components of cell membrane. Many hormones are made up of proteins. For instance, insulin and glucagon. The oxygen-carrying pigment, which is hemoglobin and myoglobin, are also protein. Antibodies, which are formed by lymphocytes, are also proteins, which are formed to fight against the pathogens or microorganisms. So you see that proteins are very important and playing very important and crucial role in our bodies. Collagen, another protein, adds strength to many animal tissues such as bone and walls of arteries. Collagen, we will see the detailed structure of collagen in later lectures. But for now, remember that it's a protein which makes up the bones and walls of the arteries. Hair, nails, and the surface layer of skin contain the protein called keratin. If you remember from the structure of skin from O levels, you would recall that we read about keratin. It's a protein present in hair, nails, and in skin. Actin and myosin are present in muscles and are responsible for contraction of muscles. These are protein also. Proteins may be storage products for example, casein in milk and ovalbumin in egg white. Despite their tremendous range of functions, all proteins are made from the same basic monomer, which are called amino acids. Now let's see the general formula or general structure of amino acid. If you can see here, I have made the structure of amino acid where there is a central carbon to which two functional groups are attached. I am repeating again, this is the central carbon which is attached to two functional groups. If you can see here, this is the acidic group or carboxylic group represented as COOH. And this is the amino group, which is also having the attachment with the central carbon. It is written as NH2. Hence the name amino acids. The amine group and the acidic group, which is attached to the same central carbon atom. All amino acids have a central carbon atom which is bonded to an amine group, NH2, and a carboxylic group that is represented as COOH. It is these two groups which give amino acid their name. The third component that is always bonded to the carbon atom is the hydrogen atom. If you can see, the hydrogen atom is here to complete the valency of the carbon. If you know from the chemistry lessons, carbon can make 4 covalent bonds. So one is formed with carboxylic group, one covalent bond is formed with amine group, while the other two R with hydrogen atoms. So actually here the group is R. I will explain you here. In this slide you can see this R is labeled here, which was not labeled here. This R group is different in all amino acid. This is the carboxylic group, which was seen in the last slide also. This is the amine group. This is the hydrogen attached to the central carbon atom, and this is the crucial thing to know, that this is the alkyl group or side chain or R group. And remember students that this R group is different in all amino acid. It is this R group which differentiate different amino acid, while the rest of the components of the amino acid structure remains the same. All the amino acids will have carboxylic group or acidic group. All amino acids will have amine group. All of them would be bonded with an H atom, while this R group would differ in all amino acid. This is the structure of a simple amino acid called glycine, where R is H. This is the same formula I told you here. So this is the formula for the simplest amino acid called glycine. The only way in which amino acids differ from each other is in the remaining fourth group of atoms bonded to the central carbon. This is the R group. This is something I told you just in the previous slide. There are 20 different amino acids which occur in the proteins of living organism, all with a different R group. So now we got to know that there are 20 amino acids which normally occurs in the living organism, and all of them would have a same carboxylic group and amino group, but would differ in R group. This is again, I have tried to show you the structures of different amino acids. This is glycine, this is alanine and leucine. All of them are differing from each other because of the R group, which is shown in the green bubbles. Here in the glycine, the R is H. In alanine, it is CH3, and slightly bigger structure or side chain in leucine. Otherwise, all the structures, the carboxylic group is present in all of them. So is the amine group and hydrogen atom. Now we have to read how peptide bond is formed. Peptide bond is actually the bond formed between the two amino acids. Two amino acids can react together with the loss of water to form a dipeptide. So we got to know that when two amino acids bond together, they form a dipeptide and a peptide bond is formed. The amino group of one amino acid reacts with the carboxyl group or acidic group of the other, forming a peptide bond. So here in the diagrams I have represented the peptide linkage. You can see here I have taken amino acid 1 here and the other amino acid here. If you see that the OH from the carboxyl group of one amino acid is reacting with the H atom of amine group of the next amino acid, these will combine to form water molecule, while this C and N will connect to form a peptide linkage that you can see here, making a peptide bond with the release of water molecules. And students, if you remember, the reaction in which two smaller components join together to form a bigger molecule with the release of a water molecule is called a condensation reaction. And if you can see here that the reaction is reversible, so it can go backward as well. If you will add water here, this amino dipeptide can be changed into two amino acids from which it was formed. Long strings of amino acid linked by peptide bonds are called peptides. Any number of extra amino acid could be added to the chain in the series of condensation reactions. So now we got to know that we can keep on adding more and more amino acid, and with each addition of amino acid group, a water molecule would be released. So we can keep adding up more and more amino acid to lengthen the chain of amino acid. A molecule made up of many amino acids linked together by peptide bond is called polypeptide. A polypeptide is another example of polymer and a macromolecule like a polysaccharide. It's a bigger molecule, a giant molecule, a polymer which is made from the basic monomer called amino acid. A complete protein molecule may contain just one polypeptide chain, or it may have two or more chains which interact with each other. So we got to know that proteins can be simple. The protein molecules can be simple, made up of only one polypeptide chain, or they can be complex, having more than one polypeptide chains which interact together to form a compact protein molecule. In living cells, ribosomes are the sites where amino acids are joined together to form polypeptides. So now we got to know the site where polypeptide chains are formed from amino acid. These are the ribosomes. Polypeptides can be broken down to amino acid by breaking the peptide bonds. This is a hydrolysis reaction involving the addition of water and happens naturally in stomach and small intestine during digestion. If you remember from the knowledge of your O-level syllabus, we know that pepsin and erepsin, these were the enzymes that were present in stomach and small intestine, leading to digestion of proteins and converting them into polypeptide chains and amino acids respectively. Here, protein molecules in food are hydrolyzed, means they are broken down into amino acid before being absorbed into the blood. Okay, this is again the revision of what we have already studied, the formation of peptide bond. You can see the peptide linkage being formed between two amino acid group, forming a dipeptide with the release of one water molecule.